So my name is Mitch Mallon. I'm the founder of Stadium Media. We're a global digital distributor out there in the marketplace, distributing content to over 150 countries. And this is a very cool panel discussing niche. So it's ironic that in the years that I've been involved in this digital distribution space, which is a very long time, when niche was referred to Netflix or Hulu, that we've the mainstays at Disney Plus is niche. Although it looks to be changing as they continue to update their service. So with the leading digital platforms moving away from licensing many of our wonderful, unique, and often referred to as catalog programs, the rise of the niche channels will become the enablers, and might I say the saviors of our core business. So today we're gonna have conversations with some of the trailblazers in ever expanding niche world. I would like to introduce my first panelist, Dean Cates. Welcome, Dean, with the Africa Channel, which is focused on travel, lifestyle, cultural series, specials, and documentaries that represent the continent's best program and reflects the land, people, culture, and history of Africa. Now, we want to hear more about the panel, but I would like to hear why you're in this business.
Sure. I've been in the entertainment business for probably 15 or 20 years, both in front and behind the camera. And in that time, I also worked pretty heavily with nonprofits, helping them launch digital fundraising campaigns and platforms in building community. And when the Africa Channel was looking to launch a new brand that was digital, I thought it was like a unique kind of combination between mission and entertainment, sort of a great little intersection there that I felt like I could bring a lot of my experience to helping build it. So, you know, it's a global platform. We're focused on the world outside of Africa with the goal of kind of bridging cultural gaps between Africa and the diaspora.
Beautiful. My next panelist is Dennis Dortch with Black and Sexy TV. Dennis.
Hey.
Welcome. Black and Sexy
the
TV.
host has stopped my video, so hold on a second.
Oh, take your time. I was stressing out prior to this, as Steve Apple can attest.
Yeah, someone needs to it says the host has stopped my video. Should I leave and come back real quick, or?
You're in the house.
Good. Well, I'm here. Yes.
He's here. So the Black and Sexy TV network produces and scripted content focused on progressive Black American audiences, and they also produce most of their content, which was very interesting. But I still would like to know why you're in this business.
Well, I'm in this business because I am an independent filmmaker, you know, by origin, and I don't like having bosses. I'm more of an entrepreneur by spirit. I've been fired from Sony, you know, sorry to say. So that was my sort of fall into like doing things myself and going direct to audience. So really having control of my content is really the reason.
Welcome. All right. Next panelist, Rich Rodriguez from VIX. Rich, come join us.
Hey, how are you?
Hello.
How are you, Mitch? Yeah, that's Rick. Yeah, why am I in this business? I started I started my professional career right at the time of the launch of MTV, and you know, that was like the coolest thing on the planet, and I had to be involved. I started programming in Spanish at a local cable company in Miami, and then later headed up all the Discovery networks for Latin America. And yeah, so I've always loved the intersection of media and the cutting edge, and I just think that the opportunity to do advertising supported and video on demand is just so damn cool, and everybody can have it. Although I do wish I had named a channel after myself, like Black and Sexy. That's pretty damn cool.
It is a good name. So give me a 1 minute about VIX.
VIX is the first Hispanic targeted AVOD service. We are approaching about 10 million, or maybe have already surpassed 10 million installs in the US and Latin America. We program a combination of movies and television series and our own self-produced content. VIX is partially owned by Discovery Networks, and so we're doing pretty well. We're just experiencing tremendous growth month over month. That is pretty exciting. It's we're on a train that just is accelerating. So we're can't be happier.
Spectacular. Welcome. And our next panelist is Mr. Doug Schwab with Maverick Entertainment. Welcome, Doug.
Hey, Mitch. How you doing?
Beautiful. So Maverick specializes in the acquisition and distribution of diverse independent fare, including mainstream, urban, Latino, theatrical, horror, and spiritual genres. And Doug is an old school guy like I have been. We've known each other for many years, and he's one of the forefronts of what's going on in this niche world. So that's great, but why are you in this business?
Well, I'm a lifer like you, Mitch. I've been in it for a long time. Maverick's been around 23 years. I've been in this all my life, essentially, in this industry. I've viewed it always as a pleasure to be in the industry because we're doing something that we love and have passion about. And one of the things that we enjoy doing here at Maverick is giving opportunity to people, opening doors for them, getting their products placed. That never gets old. And I've seen it all come and go, VHS, beta, DVD, Blu-ray. And now this digital world is very, very exciting because people have movies when they want, wherever they want, and can access them anyway. And it's still great to provide this opportunity.
I tell you, I miss dual disc. I really miss it.
I forgot that one.
Right. So our next panelist is Mr. Zach Kaufman with One World Digital. Come join us, Zach. Zach is in the house.
Hey
Zach,
guys,
which is a master library. One World Digital is a master library of over 500 hours of long-form motorcycle automotive documentaries, narrative features, as well as creating, distributing original content with global brands through Facebook and Discovery and Harley Davidson. So
yeah, well, actually, that's funny because what you read is kind of old. We've been on an acquisitions tear this year, and we're over 1,000 titles now. But I'm glad to be here. I'm a member of OTT.X, proud card-carrying member. Yeah, One World Digital. I founded One World Digital as a distribution outlet from my production company, One World Studios, which produced the original Chopper Town movie 15 years ago with a stack of credit cards and a dream and a borrowed video camera. I bought a Mac and taught myself how to edit. And we ended up winning a bunch of film festivals, but we couldn't get distribution on our film. So there was this new thing called MySpace. And I thought, well, I'll bet people on MySpace might like my movie. So I aggregated 300,000 fans onto MySpace and sold them 20,000 DVDs out of my apartment.
Amazing.
And that started my company 15 years ago. Now we have 1,000 titles. We have a linear network on Vizio, Plex, all of the usual suspects where you could find a linear network. We have our direct-to-consumer, and we're branching out into other niches now as well.
Very nice. And for myself, I've been a fan of the music and video industry forever. I actually used to collect, for those old timers, Castle Films and Ken Films, Super 8 films, and put a projector up in the corner of my bedroom as a kid with a pull-down screen and would show movies to people. So, and then go figure. Now we're here. That's the world. So, question one. Roku announced that they have more than 5,000 live linear channels, and there's over 500 channels of FAST services. How do you make it through that noise? You all have channels. So how do you find people? That's the noise. That's the skill that you guys are bringing to this market. Dean.
Yeah. So, I mean, on Roku, they have their partner success team that, you can work with to kind of create more awareness, but discoverability is a problem. The Roku channel itself is an interesting place for people to partner. There's less channels there. I think it's, last day we talked about it, I think it's like maybe in the top 5 of used apps on the platform. So I don't know, man. You got to pick and choose your battles, right? There's a lot of different platforms. Right. You got to kind of figure out where you're going, where is your audience, where can you build that audience, how do you target that audience, and then are you going to spend, or are you going to do some unique community engagement and some organic things to try to build that audience and then move them over to that platform and just make them aware that that's just a destination that they can watch you. It's, you know, it's tough. It's technology. It was supposed to kind of create an equal playing ground for all of us, but it ultimately, you know, we're in the media and entertainment business, and everything costs money, as I'm sure Dennis building an SVOD and building a community over time, how that's changed, in you know, just even in the past 3 years in terms of cutting through the noise.
Zach.
We use social networks heavily. I remember when I had my first Facebook like, you know, and now we have 2.5 million followers on our Facebook page. So we use, you know, we have hundreds of thousands on our Instagram. Our YouTube is growing bound over bound. So we, from MySpace, like I said, I mean, I really saw the value of social networking. So we try to get as much organic reach as we can. We create clips from every video, every title that we acquire. I have a team that creates multiple shorter clips out of that content to try to create a buzz around that and to go after that long tail of people. The one person out there that's just really into this very specific thing, even within motorcycling or within automotive or within, you know, all the various music, every piece that goes into one of our titles, we try to distill that into several different defined areas, and then produce clips that focus and highlight on that defined area to reach the maximum number of people.
Thanks. Now, Dennis, how do you keep your brand unique? Like, it's a great name, but how do you keep that uniqueness out there?
You stay true to your brand and your name, I think, and going as niche as you can is probably the key. I think I would, you know, Dean mentioned it and Zach is living it currently, is the community is number one. I mean, I think if we're going to try to compete with Netflix in a way where it's not unique, it's trying to serve a lot of people, we're never going to win. If we just do the exact opposite and focus on the people that make sense for us, that we're actually speaking to, and go as focused as we can, and build a two-way conversation and build the social networks. Everything that Zach was just talking about, the community is the key, because they'll keep coming back because you're serving them in a way that Netflix, Hulu, everybody else can't do on that micro level.
And then, so this also goes to Doug, because Doug's been around for a long time and Maverick has been around for a long time. So how do you keep yourself so relevant? Mute.
Are you talking to Doug or Dennis?
Doug. No, Doug. Nobody's muted.
He's not muted from what I can see. There seems to be an issue on your side there with audio, Doug. You're not muted on the Zoom session, but maybe on your internal microphone or something there. Can we? We're still on here. Mitch, you want to go to another panelist, and we'll work with Doug to get that worked out.
Okay. No, well, this would also go to Rick as well, because Vix, the uniqueness of your brand as well.
Yeah, we were very fortunate. We originally, on the OTT side, were Bungalow, and we were acquired last year by Vix. And Vix brought with it a huge social media following. So they have some 27 million Facebook and Instagram and YouTube fans. And then the Vix.com website has some 12 million users. So it's a lot of our growth over the last few months has been driven by really activating those kind of social levers that they have and just getting the word out. But there's still that challenge of on a platform specifically like Roku, where it's harder to connect from a Facebook like to a Roku install. And there, what we're doing to grow it is, you know, we've done a lot of marketing on the platform. We've you know, bought campaigns. Roku has several different display opportunities. There's the display out on the homepage. There's this little flying widget on the screensaver. There's all sorts of things that you can buy, and it does help that Roku has been, particularly as they've expanded into Latin America, they've been very supportive, in terms of giving us additional marketing support. So we just launched in Brazil there with them a couple weeks ago, and now we're going to be featured on the box for for upcoming device sales. So that helps a lot too.
So Doug, are you good? We're there with you. I was struggling earlier. This is a different question. So do you all participate in originals? To a varying degree. Do you use those originals as a possibility of getting out into the transactional marketplace to seed possible new acquisitions? Is it in the back of your mind?
Dennis lives with originals, right, Dennis? I mean, Dennis, you're all originals almost.
Yeah, we're 90%.
But Africa Channel also, I think, also has some stuff that they actually originally acquire. And Rick's got to be moving into that, I would assume.
Yeah, go ahead, Dennis.
Yeah, I mean, that's all we do. We don't actually have much but 10% sort of license, and that's pretty much relationships and people that we know. So that's why we keep it very specific and very unique, so that it's, when you know when you go to a mom and pop store and they make all of their goods, it's kind of like that. You really understand what you're making and buying, and it's that relationship. So that all we've done is original content, and I think we know original content is really the only way to separate ourselves from everyone else.
And Bubba, what I'm asking is literally participating with the transactional platforms in the marketplace to get those titles out there in the market for people to discover outside of your normal world. And then it's almost like a subtle marketing way to get people to find your brand as well.
You're saying doing transactions with your originals? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, staying multidimensional, meaning like Laura had said, you have to play in every sandbox in order to build your brand. So
It's true.
If you participate in that world.
That is true. That's how we launched our company, or launched our monetizing sex, because we literally just started selling special episodes of our free content that was on YouTube originally. And then that sort of opened up the door for spending more money monthly as an SVOD. So really having our feet in each one of those steps is definitely a key. But going back to that is really where we're going now. I think what you're saying is correct.
Okay. Doug, are you with us? He's connected. Doug, when you're back, just tell us. I don't care. It's Doug. All right, so.
Doug, if you could check out look in the chat window. We can try to converse over there. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, in the case of VIX, we do have original content, but it's primarily short form. Again, this was stuff that VIX was producing for their social media platforms before acquiring Pongolo, and we have since expanded that production capability so that we're doing longer form nonfiction content in various verticals. But we don't anticipate doing any kind of a TVOD until we're actually doing longer form, significant longer form production.
And Dean, you dabble in playing this. I know, Zach, you and I have spoken that you're in that world as well, which is, you're expanding the brand. And then I'm pretty sure through our conversations, Dean, you dabble in that as well.
Yeah, we have a mix of original and acquired content. We have, in addition to Demand Africa, the digital platform, we also have a studio called Tax Studios, where we're developing content on the platform. A lot of that content is more, unlike Dennis, is more designed to be sold into third-party platforms like BBC, Netflix. And part of that is just expanding sort of our mission of Africa, creating, increasing the developmental capabilities on the continent, as well as sort of, I saw Alejandro had a map of where great stories and long tail content was coming from. And there was a little arrow that just skipped right over Africa and went to Australia. And that's part of what, we try to combat. So by creating that content and putting it on platforms that have maybe larger audiences, it helps us there.
Now, have you seen any numbers saying that mobile is the future, or is mobile additive to what the business is going. I have a certain opinion about that, and mobile is very relevant to us, but I still think that people will ultimately want to be at home watching the program. And with the new devices and Android TV getting more prevalent around the world, it's going to be a little easier to make legacy TVs more smart. So are you seeing anything in this correlation as well?
Are you asking me?
No, pretty much anybody on this one.
Yeah, I mean, for us on the AVOD platforms, I mean, connected TV, especially now, and more specifically, like the manufacturers, the Vizios, and the OEMs, people just watch longer, and they're more willing to consume long form content. On a short form side, AVOD is a little difficult for us, just with watch times and where do you put the ads. Like if you have content under 5 minutes, do you want to sit through an ad to watch that piece of content? I mean, people will do it on YouTube. So but in terms of my owned and operated platforms, it's all long form. And I think we have a certain number of users that actually, prefer mobile. So, I mean, it just kind of goes back to going where your audience is and finding ways to engage with that audience that prefers mobile versus maybe the audience that prefers leaning back in their living room and watching on Samsung TV Plus, et cetera.
And Rick, are you seeing anything in this correlation?
Yeah, in Latin America, particularly, the majority of users are mobile. They're Android users. And actually, even in the U.S., 90% of Hispanics say that they use mobile for streaming video. And so we see a tremendous audience there, but the watch times are lower. And what we do is when you're able to cast to your TV, the watch time increases. So you're seeing at least double watch time once people are watching on their connected TV or streaming to their TV. So
Right.
So you're right, but definitely for developing countries that
Yes.
don't have the wired infrastructure.
Completely agree. Yeah. Doug, you're back.
I'm back through a telephone, so I hope
That's
you can hear
fine.
me now.
That's fine. No, so I wanted to ask you a little bit, because you've been around like I a long time. This is one of those interesting things because a lot of older catalog and things that we pick up for the niche titles are in SD. Is that a make or break for our world, or is it got to be HD?
Well, it's interesting because every new platform that you engage with and you go with, they give you the delivery specs, and obviously they want 4K or they want HD. And for somebody that's been in this a long time like ourselves, we have a lot of our older catalog that we still have license to that's in SD. So a lot of times when you submit your product to them and the content to them, they kind of sort and cherry pick, if you will, and they sort out a certain group of films that they don't want. And then you start looking at the films they kicked out and it was SD. So we kind of go back and say, we've been around the block a little bit with this. Can you at least give these titles a shot? And many of our SD titles are some of the top performers.
Yeah.
And as the business transitions to digital, the screens are smaller, people are on the go. It's less of a drop-off on smaller screens, SD to HD. So we're not advocating that we want to become an SD company, but we do have a lot of old SD content, and much of it outperforms new HD content, which sounds incredible to say, but it's true.
And we do the same thing. We constantly have that backup conversation in our pocket, ready to go. You send it off, and they take the top couple of things, and then you come back to them and say, "I get it. Thank you. Love that you picked these titles, but can I show you some numbers on this title?" You kind of, that's the sale. I mean, that's what our value to a producer is, right? All of us up here that act as aggregators and distributors, when a producer approaches you, why should I give you my film? I could give it to that company or that company or that company. Well, when you're a boutique agency like us, a boutique aggregator, you say, well, look, one thing is I'm the one. If there's an issue or if you have a question about how something's being promoted, you call me. You call Doug. You call Mitch. And he gets on the phone. Mitch will talk to you for 4 hours. You get him on the phone. So, but he's going to take care of you. He's going to take care of your film. That's the nice thing about working with the boutique agency, right? Back to your question about mobile, we do a lot of live programming through Facebook. So we have 10 different shows, all people that are either you know, how to fix your motorcycle, or how, you know, or what new trends are going on. And those are all broadcast live every single day. Facebook's become its own network in essence that way. And then we sell activations against those live, but they're almost all mobile.
Nice, very nice.
If you don't mind, I want to add one quick thing to what Zach said as well. When you submit a film and you put a film out on SD, we've always noticed this, and we think that the audience, because they've been so underserved for such a long period of time, they're a very forgiving audience. They just appreciate to have multiple pieces of content to watch. They don't want to sit around and wait for the studios to crank out the next Tyler Perry or Denzel Washington movie. They're happy to have selection. So it gets to a point where they'll just watch whatever you have because they appreciate you stepping up and providing, you know, a lot of selection within the genre. We've seen that all the way back from the beginning as well as to now.
I mean, the amount of films that still have not been released into the marketplace is amazing. You're talking about the festivals. Just look at the festival darlings that actually have still never made it to market.
Yeah, our number 3 series is SD. So yeah, and again, primarily because of there's no difference at all in perception on mobile, but these are also connected TV viewers who have no problem, because it is really about the content. It's not about the format.
The one thing I would add to that is we run a linear broadcast channel, and you know, we do have a mix of content that's SD and HD. We primarily try to air HD, but just even going over or switching over to some digital delivery, the quality of the stream is much higher than traditional broadcast. So some of that SD content does kind of pop within the stream as being lesser quality. But to Rick's point, I think if you have a great story, people are willing to sit through and engage with content, no matter, bad sound is probably the worst. But I mean, in terms of picture quality, if the story is clear, people will sit through it.
And there are tight SD programs there. It all depends on the quality you're pulling from. So it's not it's not a negative.
Right.
So can you guys share with me what's been going, if you've had any pleasant surprises in your businesses in the past like 6 months, something that really surprised you besides the whole pop in streaming numbers and, you know, viewing times?
Well, in our case, the number of lesser known TV movies, and they tend to be like genre, lower budget TV movies that are, you know, how well they're being accepted. Our number 1 film on Roku yesterday was a thing called Killer Bees with one of the guys from E.T. I'm drawing a blank on his name. Anyway, it's a late 90s, early 2000s TV movie, and with kind of funny effects, and yet, you know, people are eating it up. So yeah, that's been the biggest surprise.
And one of the things that we found recently is, you know, cyclical changes of what's in and what's not in. We make movies pretty quickly here. We acquire 35 to 40 movies a year. We shoot 20 movies a year because we want to just satisfy the demand for the content. And we notice that genres come and go. At one point, a genre is popular, and then by the time you make the film, the genre maybe not be popular again. At one point, inspirational was the flavor of the month, and you know, people wanted urban inspirational. When a lot of urban inspirational stuff's coming out, it kind of meets a saturation point. It switches to thriller, or thriller switches to something else. So what we've noticed is that titles and genres that were deemed dead or dormant on certain platforms are revived. They're new again, they're fresh again, and we have some platforms that do well with some genres, and we have other platforms that do well with the others. So you're kind of hedging your bet more than in the old days. We had the traditional blockbuster Hollywood movie gallery, Circuit City, Virgin, Tower. It was, what are they going to buy? How are you going to get paid? Now all these multiple platforms are finding unique and different customers.
So this is the new version of our diversity.
Exactly.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely. We've seen weird spikes, you know, in interesting areas. We recently acquired some Spanish language content that we licensed to Rick, and they sent us their first statement, and I almost fell out of my chair. I mean, we you know, I was shocked at what he's doing in the Latin American community. You know, the numbers actually really were pleasantly surprising. So now I'm out there beating the bushes for more, you know, Spanish content for Rick, because he's obviously, you know, got that market. But we had a motorcycle limited series that we picked up, and it popped in Canada. You know, it just caught on. Next thing you know, our Canadian numbers are bonkers. And I'm like, what is this? You know, we're looking at the numbers, and it's kind of, it's a good series. It's okay, but it was never on TV. It's purely for, you know, mostly for enthusiasts. But I'm like, what is that little, you know, boop going up? And so we looked into it. It's Canada. What?
I always say I think I'm smart until the next day, then I'm proven wrong.
Yeah.
Dennis, you're unique out of all of us with this. So, I mean, what have you seen really pop?
I gotta say, I've been following Dennis for years. I just have to throw that in there. When we met because of this panel, and you know, I was a little bit starstruck because he's been doing it for so long. Dennis has been doing it for so long with his subscription service that he was the one guy that I was following as he was building his Black and Sexy TV. I was following every step of the way, every move he made. I was like, oh man, yeah, we're gonna do that. I basically kind of just like followed his steps. So I'm so glad Dennis is here. Sorry.
You're welcome. Yeah.
He's been busting.
I didn't know what's happening. I know you asked me a question, Mitch. Was it about any surprises in the last?
Yeah, anything that really surprised you, like, oh my gosh, I didn't see that coming.
Well, I mean, what I didn't see coming was the pandemic. Obviously, that bumped everyone, but also the George Floyd thing bumped just interest outside of my own business, in the sense of being able to figure out how we can partner and do different sort of partnerships. I think that is something that came out of, I won't say it came out of nowhere, but last year it was like, you know, super black. 2019 was like black people were in style. 2018 leading up to that, 2020, I didn't think it was going to top it, but now black people are still in vogue. So we're riding that wave. You know what I mean? So.
And Dean, what have you seen?
Yeah, I'm just always surprised by consumer behavior. I think it's amazing that I can see in real time what people are watching and how just how they switch from piece of content to content, and how it doesn't always follow any rhyme or reason. Like, also for us, since we're global, like just where people are watching from, I think is very interesting. Like, I wouldn't have thought we would have a market in Sweden, what we do. It's just interesting. And with the pandemic, just, there's somebody on our platform that I love to watch who just continuously creates email addresses to get 7-day free trials and just consumes content.
I met a few of those guys, yes.
Yeah, I love it. I'm like, that's great. He's a super fan and has found a way around our system to watch the content free. Good for him. But yeah, I think it's just nice because there's more people on the platform, so you have more engagement, more watch time is up, and you can kind of really start to see what people are connecting with. And obviously, like, the goal of what we all do is to try to find that audience and super serve them and create that community. So it's been really nice to see where the viewers are coming from. And I would say one area that I'm really surprised at how many people are actually watching is the connected TV, the OEMs, like the Vizios and the Blue.
That really has surprised me how that has really popped in the past year and a half. I didn't expect that. And traveling to Europe many times and speaking there, how they were struggling with just getting to the TV, and the set prices were so expensive. And now that even smaller manufacturers are embracing it.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at that, you look at Asia, the Asian marketplace, which is mobile centric, but you know, you're talking 1 billion, 2 billion people. We're in such the prime time of Hollywood that niche, we may be saying niche, but this isn't really niche. This is so mainstream if you have the right product.
Right.
That's the thing. So I have one more thing I wanted to ask you guys. This is more of advice for people that are watching out there. If someone's looking to start up their own service, what advice could you give them when they're talking to different back-end, you know, supply service companies? That, because I've gone through that myself, and it's a lot of questions to go through and a lot to digest. but you've all had to do that as well.
Yeah, I'd love to take a stab at that one. It's a game not for the weak of heart, first off. Secondly, it's not like the movie Field of Dreams. If you build it, they will come, because it doesn't matter how pretty or how many bells and whistles your channel or your app has. It's getting people there. And then the fear that I've had for many years: how do you compete with behemoths, billion-dollar corporations, Fox, buying Tubi, and Comcast buying Zumo, and on and on and on. It's a battle now. Eyeballs are currency, and how do you compete with that? Many of our filmmakers, they get disenchanted down the line, and they see new channels opening and new platforms opening, and they feel that could be me, or I could do that. So Dennis is a really good example. He's been doing it for a long time. He has a brand. Now we're populating lots of channels on various different places. And I think the average filmmaker thinks that, hey, I can get my 100 people to sign up, and they can get 100 people, and they can get 100 people, and then it's there. It's just not that easy. So I would take everything with a grain of salt. If it's play money that you have that you want to try something with as an experiment, I vote for it, but it's very, very tough.
Yeah. We built a Roku app. Rick helped me build a Roku app. He's very experienced in that, and so he sat me down and gave me a lot of great advice and helped me. And it's been very hard to get growth on it organically. We're going to start spending a little bit on some ads to see what that does for it. But you really play as a boutique brand. You play that game between the behemoths and your own owned and operated, right? We make more on Amazon. We just do, because they own the earth. And so they own all the eyeballs. But at what point are you ceding your hard-earned real estate for your brand that you built on your owned and operated all these years to them for the quick buck or the bigger buck? We're constantly battling internally here about that. And I don't know that there's a right or a wrong answer, because you need cash flow, and you can't operate on zero while you build your Roku app. And so you put it on Prime, but then Prime dilutes your audience, and then they get your subscribers and they get your people into Prime, and they're not coming. So that we're constantly battling internally. It's a war. When I go to bed at night, that's the number one thing I think about is the everywhere strategy more profitable, or is the defend your territory? They're both important, and it's juggling that, I think, is what we all up here are against.
Well, that goes into, do you believe that content should be everywhere, which is a different conversation in itself.
I mean, I didn't used to, but I became a believer. I became a believer because it became easier to push 1,000 titles around everywhere and stack. As Eric Opeka once said, I'm stacking nickels. Stack nickels in 100 places with 1,000 titles than just defend my one film or my personal library is about 10 features. And so, focus all day on that, or become an aggregator, boom, put it all out. It's definitely more profitable to do that. But I have ceded some of my real estate.
No, digital is the sum of the whole. It's putting it everywhere and putting it all together, and then, hey, look, we did something. But really finding the right partners to work with you, that's how I look. That is truly partners.
But you know what? I'm living it now. Like, I've been that own and operated, focus only on myself, on my own platform and my partner's platform for a long time. And seeing that I'm missing out on a lot of money because we have a lot of content that we own 100%. But at the same time, I have to remember, I think it is a diversity thing, but you still got to defend your own and operated to a degree, because I think if we had the less of the Facebook, everybody put their business on Facebook, and it's not like we're all saying one place, but everybody changes the rules at some point. And I think all you have is yourself in the end. If you're a boutique or independent owner and going direct to audience, it's like, if 2021 goes like how I would like it to go, I would like to have half of my audience on my own and operated, and half of my audience out there, you know, in the ethers, and bringing awareness back to my own and operated. So to me, it's not just revenue, it's also awareness and discoverability.
Correct.
And it doesn't always flow that way, but that's how it flowed for myself in the beginning. We started on YouTube, but my movie was playing on Netflix and Showtime and whatever else. People still go look. So you're still going to get a percentage of people to your own and operated if you still make your own and operated something special, I believe. You know what I mean?
Yes. And don't put all your eggs in another platform's basket for sure, because that's just, all they do is flip an algorithm and you're dead.
Yeah.
So definitely you always have to have something that you're preserving for yourself. But I do believe that in this marketplace where people are coming at you from such a diverse field of devices, you know, with mobile and with their brand of TV and with their set tops and whatever, you really do need to play in as many sandboxes as possible. And the advice as far as building channels is, you know, try to roll it your own before committing to a third party, because there are tools that allow you to experiment on each platform or get in very inexpensively. Do that first before committing to a service that might want to have its hand in your pocket, because a lot of, unfortunately, a lot of service providers will want to extract a monthly fee. At the end of the day, there's not a lot left for the content, you know, the content owners.
So indeed,
Rick got us up and running on Roku. I think our whole Roku app costs me about $100 a month to run.
Right.
And it looks great. It looks as good as anybody else's. But that's a way that you can experiment. I'm willing to lose that money on, you know, we're making because it's all impression based, right? With CPMs, you know, I'm making $6 a month in impressions, but I can lose $100 a month. Like that's a business. There's a case for that, to write that off as a loss, because I'm learning about ad stacks. I'm learning about the waterfall. I'm learning how to talk to these different guys that, you know, there's so many crazy guys in the ad tag world. They're bonkers. There's every guy, and they're all selling each other's tags. It's ridiculous. But, you know, but for that education, I'll spend $100 a month every day to find out what that looks like, you know.
And Dean, do you have a last word before we shut this down?
Yeah, I mean, I could talk about that stuff. I mean, I'm sure Dennis could too, in terms of finding partners to be the back end of what you're putting out there and where to spend your money, right? I know I hear a lot of people talk about innovating technology. Like, I'll let Netflix do that. We don't have the money to do that. I just want something that's up. It's easy for people to navigate and they can access. And then I'd rather put our money into providing value through content and or building that community. I think people underestimate what the cost is associated with some of this stuff. You're like, oh, like to Zach's point, I can direct publish on Roku, $100, great. Do that. Or just build a website and say, I'm trying to build this for this community. This is our value proposition. Sign up. We're going to be launching in the next 6 months, and see how many people you can get to sign up for that, right? See how many people are out there and actually interested in the value proposition you're going to be providing. Spend that money on marketing, building that community, get them excited about what you're going to launch, and then figure that out. It depends on what your budget is and what your runway is. I mean, running an owned and operated, as anybody here can attest, it's a long play, especially if you're niche. And you know, you at some point you need to partner and leverage other people's audiences to build that awareness, because it just gets too expensive.
That's why we say it's the partnership. We're a small community, and you look for the partners that help you out.
Right.
Exactly. So I want to thank everybody. You guys were great. This was wonderful. Very constructive. Hopefully some good information for our audience out there.